Hello, it's Ricardo and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. The battle is heating up against the Titans and everyone is out there looking for the ship to do the damage, do the nasty to Thargoid Titans. I think I've found it. For me, I've tried quite a few ships and I'm coming up trumps with the good old Fer-de-lance. I'd like to introduce you to the Silver Fang, my Fer-de-lance build for sticking it to the Titans. Now, I've avoided this ship for its problems with heat and the fact that I don't do an awful lot of combat, but the Fer-de-lance is a heavy combat ship, manufactured by Zorg and Peterson no less, with 4 medium and 1 huge hardpoint. The ship is a veritable powerhouse, and it certainly is that, able to mount a challenge to even the Anaconda and Federal Corvette, and as recently defined by Frontier themselves, one of the best PvP ships around. That, the Mamba, will be going up against the new Python Mark II. Now, this vessel has got a drawback. It is indeed highly specialised, and it's a fighter. It's something to go to battle with. So what better ship could you possibly go to battle with the Titans, with those 6 utility slots, and those 4 medium and 1 huge hard points, than the Fer-de-lance itself. And so I decided on the Silver Fang build. Now, why is the Silver Fang? Because it's silver. You know it. I have had perhaps the best, for me personally, I'm not the best pilots around, experience by giving it to the Titans in the Fer-de-lance. More so than the crate. Now, that might be a point of conjecture for a lot of people. A lot of people do love their crates. I love the crate as well. But what I'm saying is, I think the Fer-de-lance is probably worth a damn good look. Let's go through the build. And then we'll take the Silver Fang into combat and see how it stands up against the Titan, in this case Tyrannus. So let's kick it off with the Silver Fang build, hard points and utilities for the Fer-de-lance. Straight off the bat, you can probably see that I have gone for the Guardian Nanite Torpedo Class 2. The reason why I've gone for this, less power draw. Okay, it's got less ammo maximum size, but to be perfectly honest with you, I'm okay with that. I have either been killed, sent home in a box, or, and I'll tell you now, I've gone to lick my wounds from my ship of engaging the Titan. As you can see at the bottom, the power requirements, I'm right on the cusp there. You know, I've got 20.99 megawatts of a potential 21.42. Also, moving down, you can also see the AX missile racks are also in there. We've got 2 E's. I got 2 of those, basically because I didn't have 3 going spare, because the enhanced missile rack as well does have its also advantages over the AX pre-engineered missile racks. The AX pre-engineered missile racks, as great as they are, and they are great, slightly less damage, but a greater rate of fire. Lovely. That's absolutely brilliant. The enhanced missile rack, slightly more damage, coming in at like 32, I think it is, as opposed to 30.4. And the reason why I've gone for that sort of build is for science, to test it all out, really. That's what I've done. So the AX missile racks, I think are going to work out fine because of rate of fire, though it's going to be to build a bit of heat. And the enhanced missile rack is a bit more of a thumper, to thump that Thargoid Titan central core. That's the way I'm looking at it anyway. Give them a good thump. Gone for missiles because I think they have the damage advantage over guns. I've seen a couple builds with AX pre-engineered multi-cannons as well. I'm going for the missiles. Like I say, give that Thargoid Tyrannus and whatever Thargoid Titan you're going for, give their core a damn good thumping. So, the reasons for my missiles are such. You'll also notice right at the bottom we're talking beam lasers. Yes, you've guessed it, the beam lasers. Everyone's going to have a good beam laser. Some people I've seen not using the beam laser as well. They're using on the engineering on their ship. Perhaps they've engineered their drives as well with thermal spread. I've not done that. We'll come on to that in a section in a minute. But the beam laser, to be perfectly honest with you, has got thermal vent on it. I've gone for overcharged weapon because that's what I had knocking about. A lot of people go for long range. I don't know, I think you can be up close and personal as well with the beam laser. Therefore, I think it's a must that you should have it in there. Should you attract any Thargoid attention shall we say. Anyway, thermal vent was the way to go. Went for a class 2 and not a bigger one, simply because of all the power draws. Going on to the utility mounts now, we're on to the heatsink launchers, all engineered up, and you can see there are 6 slots in the Fer-de-lance, which made it more appealing to me over the crate, right? And some of the other ships of its size. Those 6 slots, I could pack in the heat sinks that I wanted to manage my heat. Also the Thargoid pulse wave neutralizer, gotta have that. That's been opened up now along with the caustic sinks at the rescue ships. No materials required. Go in there, buy that with cold hard cash and the credits. So even commanders with very limited engineering can go in there, stack a ship up with heat sinks, with caustic sinks as well. I've bung an electronic countermeasure in there too. And that's going to be great for those Thargoid caustic missiles that are going to be shot out either from other ships or they're going to be shot out from the Titan itself. Hit the old ECM, they go a bit squirrely and fly off into the distance. That's going to help with the capacity on the caustic sinks as well, of which I've also got engineered up to a ammo maximum of 7. So that eats up all the caustic damage, no dramas at all. So that was the hard points, and that was the utility mount of the Silver Fang Fer-de-lance build, Anti-Titan build. Let's move on to the next steps. Okay, next up is going to be core internals. A little bit more work to do here to make the ship a little bit more robust. I haven't done any sort of like hull engineering. I've got the military grade in there. I could go deep plating, reinforced, and that's going to cut down on my existing pitiful jump statistics. So I've been doing all right without it going any further than that, to be honest with you. But it's up to you if you want to engineer it up. Totally fine. Where the rubber meets the road here, though, is going to be the power plant. So the power plant, I've got a 6A in there. I've got it modified with, you guessed it, low emissions power plant, thermal spread. Get yourself over to Hiratani and she'll be able to sort you out. Thrusters, however, dirty drive tune in. That's where it's at. I haven't got an experimental solution on that as yet, simply because I haven't had time to get over to the engineer. That might boost the temperature up too much. It's doing alright as it is. It's boosting to about 520, 525, but of course with that, you know it gets the heat. The frame shift, I've got it at grade 4, run out of materials and data to get any further than that, and of course I can put in deep charge to get that on as well. Life support, miscellaneous lightweight, and the power distributor, I've got it charged enhanced all the way up to grade 5. I went with flow control there to reduce the module power draw, which is why I'm sneaking around the 20.99 megawatts mark. And also with sensors, lightweight. There you go. Now, here we go. Here's the interesting stuff. Optional internals. I've stuck a shield generator on there. Not the best shield generator, but a shield generator nonetheless. And I've got that reinforced shields. Okay, hull reinforcement. Again, you guessed it, heavy duty reinforcement. Same with all of them. Now, there could be some commanders out there that are going, oh, we need an experimental effect on there. I haven't played around with that with this particular build. I've taken out the surface scanner and just kept the planetary approach suite in there anyway. There are no vehicle bays. And that is typically the build of the Silver Fang Fer-de-lance Anti-Titan ship. It could be better, more tweaking over the days and weeks to come. If anything could be around here, perhaps putting a larger missile rack in there, perhaps a grade 3 AX missile rack, to be perfectly honest with you, but I think it's pretty much of a muchness. Let me know in the comments what you think, and if you're running a Fer-de-lance, what your build is like. I'd love to see some different builds to see how things are going. So, time to put our money where the mouth is, so to speak. Here I am in the Caves of Safety. If you don't know what the Caves of Safety, check out my video on places to hide in the Titan. Caves of Safety, thanks very much for Commander Fishsticks, Commander Simon, and the rest of the crew for showing me how to get to them. So here I am, and you can see the ship is currently idling because the shields are recharging at around about 23. Good old beam laser. That knocks that down quite a bit so we can stay frosty. I have since heard that the visual acuity of the Thargoids have been adjusted in the game, so short bursts of that beam laser apparently will not attract so much attention. But we'll have to wait and see and do a bit more science on that, everybody. So here are the vents that we're going to go and give a little bit of beef to. The idea here is with your nanite Guardian torpedo, good old engineers who thought that one up, it's going to open as we thought, heat comes out, we're going to shoot the torpedo, disable it, move on to the next one. And this is where the boost of the Fer-de-lance really comes in. We're able to sort of like drift along. I can get to about 4 or 5 of the actual vents that are on the Titan, giving us quite a bit of extra time when the core pops up. If you've got other commanders in your wing, then by all means you might get the maximum amount of time with the core. Got to be careful, and that's why I've got my shield there as well for all the other beef that this Titan's going to be getting me from the turrets. And if you're a better flyer than me, you can probably get 4, 5 or even 6 of these heat vents and get them disabled with the nanite torpedo. Now, important to note that at the moment in game, the nanite torpedo does not any damage to the core. Alright, it's just for simply disabling those vents. Now we're flipping up and under to the other side of the Thargoid Titan, in which case this is Tyrannus. You can see my squad are already there and they're giving that core a little bit of beef. I've switched fire groups now, I've got my AX missiles all ready to go, and then we're going to let them have it. And just to make myself feel better, I'm going to cool myself down as well by using the beam laser. Look at that, there you go. And we're giving that thermal core a good old pasting. I'm sure you've seen this 100 times, and it's a great set piece, utterly brilliant. If you can get the core down to 0, good for you. Now what happens is that this Thargoid is going to give you a bit of its healing beam. Now it's healing beam for that, but not healing beam for you. There's a good point to hide here. If you go right on top of where the core actually came out and position your ship, and just position it right by there, you can actually dodge the beam that can destroy your modules, eat away at your hull, and certainly the shields should you have them. I tend to cool myself down as well. You can see one of the commanders, that's Narco, has got in the way. But typically, this has worked for me. Then what I do is all power to the engines, and I boost out of the way, because everyone else is going to be alerted to your presence. Once they're alerted to your presence, then they're going to give you one hell of a lot of beef. You can either get out into the asteroid field and hide out there, or you can get into one of the caves of safety that are dotted around the Titan. And they're usually found just round by the turrets. You can sort of sneak a ship even as large as the Federation Corvette in there as well. So my Fer-de-lance will be absolutely no problem at all. So as you can see, this build, the shields have held up. I've incurred very little damage considering what I'm doing, and if you're cunning enough, you can stick your ship in a little cave and break the line of sight of the Thargoids. And that's typically how this ship, the Fer-de-lance, my Silver Fang build, has indeed stood up to the Thargoid Tyrannus. Very little on the rebuy side of things, and even if it is, it was coming in at 5.6 million, a lot cheaper than other ships like the Corvette or Cutter. And if you're still with us, I'm very interested to see what ship you actually use to give the Titan some beef. Or are you a commander that's shying away from the Thargoid engagement, or indeed have no interest in the Thargoid war? All this is pretty good, and is perfectly fine. If you are using a ship, if you are indeed engaging the Titans, then what's your build? Post the link in the comments. I really like to see it and I'm generally interested. Anyway, I've been Ricardo. Thanks very much for watching this Fer-de-lance build that I'm using to give those Titans a little bit of beef. And a little bit of beef they need. Time to stick it to the man. And if that man's a Titan, that's what we got to do. Thanks very much for watching. See you soon.